Don't be embarrassed by if you find that you became a victim of a scam. It happens to thousands of people all the time. So please do not be embarrassed. Call the police. Let us know what's going on. This way we can maybe also help you, but we can also help try to prevent future crime.
Hello, I'm Ann Hall. Welcome to Mature Living. Back in 2018, we devoted a Mature Living program to the danger of scams. Unfortunately, many people continue to fall victim to this crime. While the senior population isn't the only population to be impacted, this demographic is certainly a desirable target for scammers. To talk with us about how all of us can protect ourselves and our assets, we're joined by Melissa Smar, a code specialist with Land Development Services and a facilitator with Silver Shield. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you for having me, Ann.
In a past Mature Living episode, we covered the grandparent scam, the IRS scam, and the home improvement scam. Are these still prevalent?
Yes, they are. And during the pandemic, it just became huge, especially regarding the grandparent scam. So now they've elevated it to basically having someone called a courier come to someone's house instead of having the person go out to the store to get gift cards. So the person gets the money together and they literally send someone who's in a safety vest. It was on the news recently, and they give this money to this person. And they were doing it, I think, in part to protect the senior from having to go out in public, because there's still a lot of people that are still wary of, COVID and not going out to public places.
Have new scams emerged in recent years?
Yes, there have. So currently right now there's the student loan scam, and obviously they're watching the news, so they're instead of going through the federal government, there's a form and an application to complete. They're sending text messages and emails and creating bogus applications, and people are thinking it is the one they need to do, but in fact it is not.
Are financial institutions and other entities stepping up to help consumers?
Yes.
What's going on with that?
So financial institutions are creating fraud departments in part to try to curb the number of scams that their customers are falling victim to. However, it is not a foolproof, safe, it's not going to protect everyone. They do catch some scams, and that's usually related to if someone is taking out a large amount of money over time. Our Adult Protective Services, they actually are mandatory reporters of crimes, so are the banks. So we're trying to work with these, different entities to get the word out and protect, our citizens from scams.
Is Silver Shield doing something about this, or is that what you were just talking about?
Yes, so Silver Shield is a program we created about 5 years ago, and it's a program where we work with the police on complaints and cases that they're working related to a multitude of scams. Home improvement usually are the bigger money items. There's a guy that is currently we're helping who was victimized out of $900,000.
$900,000.
Yes, and it wasn't even in a new addition or even a new house. It was repairs, and there were individuals that were continuing to come to his house. I think it was over a 6-month span, and he just kept giving money because he thought that they were doing these repairs that were needed, and in fact they were not. So that's probably one of the worst dollar amount scams that the police have dealt with in recent years.
What about COVID? Has COVID changed the situation at all? Because it's made people more reliant on technology. It's also promoted more loneliness and isolation.
Absolutely. So obviously during the pandemic, we were all at home because we were, advised to stay at home and to quarantine. As a result, more people, especially those who became, who are widow or widowers, and they were turning to online, they were turning to the dating websites and apps that, were already in existence. And then they've even said recently that there's been thousands more that have been created because of the pandemic. So people were trying to reach out and just have someone to talk to, and the scammers are on Match.com. They create a fake profile, and so a lot of romance scams were happening. There's one gentleman who scammed 30 women out of about $2 million, and then there was a woman who scammed about 15 men out of $1 million in our area. Those both cases are in federal court. Whether or not the people will actually get their money back remains to be seen, because once it's in the criminal justice system, it could be that they may get jail time and the people may never see their money again.
Historically, is that holding true to that as well?
Yeah, and it really depends. So especially in the home improvement scams where the police are somewhat successful in getting some of the people's money back, the problem is that they may steal from somebody else. So the police like to say if it's, Peter and Paul to pay Mary and Sue, then someone else is out, and it's just this constant cycle of complaints that the police are handling regarding the home improvement scams.
So what can we be doing to protect ourselves?
So the first thing we tell people is just take a breath and just realize you need to figure out if it's something you want to do. You don't want to be rushing to a decision. You don't want to be, they're trying to get you to make a very rash decision and give up your money. And that should not be the case. You need to take control of the situation. So what we tell people is don't answer the door if you don't know the person that's there. You also want to make sure that you don't have to answer the phone if you don't want to. But we've had people in doing presentations with Silver Shield that they want to answer the phone because they're waiting on a doctor's office to call or a pharmacist to call. And so what we tell people is, okay, if you want to answer the phone, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But within 5 or 10 seconds, if there's not a live person that's saying, hello, this is so-and-so from whatever company or doctor's office you're waiting to speak with, then you need to go ahead and hang up the phone. And the reason why is that you want to take control. You don't want anybody trying to talk you into something if you have not basically, started that transaction.
This has been so helpful. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the conversation?
Yeah, so with the IRS scam, as we're in tax season right now, just make sure that if you call the IRS and they call you back, if you leave them a message, that you want to make sure it is the IRS and it's not a scam. If an IRS employee does call you back, they're not going to ask for money. They're not going to ask you to send in a gift card or, cryptocurrency money. You also just want to make sure that you file your tax return as you normally would, and that you don't want to pay anything with gift cards because they will not ask for that type of transaction.
Melissa, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing all this helpful information. Later in the show, we'll learn more about how scams are affecting our seniors and how they can work to protect themselves from this crime. But first, Mature Living producer Fran spoke with Master Police Officer Anthony Capizzi, a crime prevention specialist with the Fairfax County Police Department. He shares some actual scams that people have fallen for and offers valuable tips on how you can keep yourself and your wallet safe. Fran, over to you.
Thank you, Ann. Officer Capizzi, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Mature Living.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the offer.
Can you first tell us how long have you been with the Fairfax County Police Department and how long have you served as a crime prevention specialist?
I've been with Fairfax County Police Department now for a little over 18 years, and I've been in the role of a crime prevention specialist for about 2.5 now.
What is the interplay between you and, I guess, the detectives that are on the front line of the scams and dealing with the victims?
The patrol officer goes out and he handles the call, he gets the information, and then the detectives are the ones that do the investigation into some of these scams because some of them can be quite elaborate. They can, involve hundreds of hours of investigation and search warrants. And then I get involved because the detectives will say, okay, there's a scam in progress in this area. whether it's a Bitcoin scam or a grandparent scam. So they tell me these sorts of things so then I can get that information out to the public and take it out to my meetings and let the community know what's going on.
Can you share an example of a case that you've worked on, and was the victim able to recoup their money or their assets that were lost, and any lessons that were learned?
One of the latest ones they had was a grandparent scam where someone called them claiming to be the grandchild that was in trouble. And it used to be they would request payment for either freeing the child or getting them out of jail. They would request those payments in gift cards, iTunes cards, but now they're advancing it to Bitcoin. So the people on these that are scamming, they are telling them, they're staying on the phone with them, they're giving them directions on how to go to the bank, and then now telling them how to go to the Bitcoin machines that are in our area and deposit the money into Bitcoin. Unfortunately, once people use these Bitcoin machines and deposit their money, it's gone forever at that point. There's no way of recouping it. The companies will not cooperate in any way, and a lot of it is overseas that they send it to, so that unfortunately they'll never get their money back.
If we could just go back to how you work with the detectives, I mean, so how do they notice an uptick in the type of scams and the number of scams that are happening in Fairfax County, or is there like a difference that has taken place over the years?
They really haven't noticed any type of an uptick in any of these crimes. It is very consistent. And that's why, I try to work with them. I try to figure out some of what's going on. If there is a trend, the latest scams that they're pushing out. As we said, Bitcoin is the latest one that they're starting, but they're still doing the IRS scams. They're still doing jury duty scams, charity scams. And even, the construction scams where people will be coming to your door and offering you all kinds of construction services. They're still doing those. So they are very good at what they do. They know how to use people and manipulate people and get what they want out of them.
We all need to be cognizant of our surroundings, whether it's walking down the street or answering an email that may be questionable or a phone call that comes in. Are there any tips that you can share for our viewers how to protect themselves from potential scams?
What is difficult for a lot of people to realize is you don't have to answer your phone. You can ignore it. You can screen your calls. Same thing with answering your door. You don't have to answer your door if somebody comes knocking at your door. You can talk through your door, you can ignore it, but those are some of the ways that they get in. Emails. If you don't recognize an email, you didn't solicit any information from an email company or some company, don't click it. Don't respond to any of these things. Because once they get your information, they have it. So those are some of the big things. Also, don't put your personal information out there. If someone calls you and you answer the phone, and then they start asking for personal information because they claim to be your bank or a grandchild or anything, don't give out any personal information. Hang up, and then you can either call your bank direct, call your family member direct, and then verify what actually happened. So those are just some of the bigger ones.
If someone feels that they're getting drawn into a scam, from the police department perspective, is there a telephone number or an email where potential victims can reach out to verify, gee, I think this is a scam, or maybe it's legit? Maybe there's a number or some information that you could share?
They can always call the non-emergency number, the 703-691-2131. That is the police non-emergency. And if they have a question, they can ask the call taker, who will then probably send it to a police officer to answer. Or there's a lot of different ways online through Better Business Bureau. AARP is another good example of information. They have a lot of information on scams. So there's a lot out there that you can do to contact people for help.
Excellent information and great tips. Officer Capizzi, you help people each and every day. What does your work mean to you as far as helping people protect themselves against being a victim of a scam?
My work means a lot to me. I've been in public service since I was 17 years old, whether starting as an emergency medical technician to paramedic and police officer was just, it's part of my family. So it's what we enjoy doing. We love to help people and we love to, do what we can. My role as a crime prevention specialist, I enjoy because it's here to educate people on how not to become the victims. So this way, they wouldn't even have to deal with the police because they wouldn't be victimized. So I really enjoyed this part of the job, trying to get out there, trying to educate people, trying to learn more about these scams so I can educate people better. So it's just a great extension of police work.
Do you go to homeowners association meetings, schools? I mean, what kind of outreach do you do to get this valuable information out to the community?
Yeah, I will go to HOA meetings. I've done it many times. I've gone to senior centers. I've gone to public libraries. Even as long as people as a group wants me to come out, I will make the time and I will give my presentations on whatever topic, whether it's scams or security or anything else like that. So I try to make myself as available as possible to help people.
Officer Capizzi, we've covered a lot of ground today. You've offered some tips. You've given us some examples of some scams that are out there. Do you have any last thoughts before we say our goodbyes today?
Yeah, there's just a couple quick things. These people are trained very well. They are very smooth at what they do. They know what they're doing. They've had a lot of experience. So please reach out to us. And always remember, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Thank you, Fran. In our first segment, we talked with Melissa Smar, a facilitator with Silver Shield, and she revealed just how widespread the problem of scams is. We now welcome Trudy Murata, volunteer community ambassador with AARP Virginia. Trudy's also a member of the Silver Shield Task Force and a spokesperson for the Fraud Watch Network for Fairfax County. Although scams affect people of all ages, we'll discuss the direct impact on seniors and how this group can protect themselves. Trudy, thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about Silver Shield and about your role with Silver Shield. What was it about this organization that attracted you?
I guess you could say that I was adopted by the Silver Shield group about 5 years ago. Silver Shield was looking to expand their marketing message of protecting Fairfax County citizens from frauds and scams at the same time that AARP was looking to expand its marketing opportunities towards our Fraud Watch Network organization. And having a vested interest in protecting seniors from frauds and scams, it was a perfectly wonderful, perfect storm. And we have continued to work together, first on the first Scam Jam, and then on other frauds and scam presentations at senior centers, senior living services, and other community events in the area. So we've been together for 5 years now.
Wonderful. Seniors seem to be a prime target for scams. I read that scammers exploit seniors' trust in government agencies, for example, the FBI, and they'll use scare tactics. What can you tell us about these kinds of scams?
They have increased. When it comes to frauds and scams, it's kind of a little like playing whack-a-mole at the carnival, that just when you get one tapped down, a new version of another one comes up. And for me growing up, and probably for you growing up as well, when the telephone rang in your home, it was a friend or a family member calling. Today, if the phone rings in your home, it's probably not a friend or a family member. It's a robocall. It's something of someone who wants to take something from our seniors here in Fairfax County and nationwide. And that's what the Fraud Watch Network and Silver Shield works to try to make people aware of what the frauds and scams are, At AARP and Fraud Watch Network, we say if you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. So increasing seniors' awareness of them. We are programmed to be nice, and when it comes to your phone, text, emails, even your front door, we kind of have to not be polite any longer and take a break and take a count to 10 and say, could this possibly be a scam before you share any additional information?
So the scams have increased. Can seniors who've been victimized by scams, can they recoup their money? Do they have any recourse for that?
Unfortunately, most of the time, no. The best offense is a good defense. Be aware of your surroundings, because once your money is gone, whether you've purchased a gift card as a response to a scammer, or they have talked you into buying cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, once the money is gone, it's gone. So what Silver Shield and AARP's Fraud Watch Network wants to do is to keep your money in your wallet, in your bank, in your credit union, and not be tempted or intrigued by some of these other opportunities that the scammers try to present to them.
You mentioned cryptocurrency. How does that work, and what's going on with that?
From a personal standpoint, I would say if you don't understand what cryptocurrency is, it's something that you definitely want to stay away from. And what's happening is cryptocurrency ATMs are popping up all over the county. They look like bank ATMs. Unfortunately, they just take your money. And if you don't understand it, it is just wide open for frauds and scams.
Are the seniors becoming more savvy with technology to match the speed of the scams?
Unfortunately, most of the time, no. The technology is changing on a day-to-day basis, and it's hard for anyone to keep up with it, senior or not. So it's more being aware of your surroundings, knowing what you do understand, and staying away from the things that you don't understand.
What about scams that involve the loss of not just money, but identity?
Identity theft can be a huge problem because there are so many fraud artists and scammers out there that are after your Social Security number, your Medicare number, your banking account information. So unless you know who you're talking with, sharing personal information over the phone, via text, via email is something that you need to be very, very cautious of. And when in doubt, don't. If you need to refer to your own personal doctor's office and call them directly from a phone number that you know goes directly to that doctor's office, that's where you would share Medicare information.
What about other ways to protect our money and our identity?
Always be aware of your surroundings. Again, if you don't understand something, if it seems like a scam, it probably is a scam. I recommend that individuals count to 10 after they've answered the phone, before they answer the door, when they're looking at a text or looking at an email. You almost have to assume that it is a scam and let the individual on the other end of that conversation convince you that it's not before you get involved and you share any personal information. The IRS, Medicare, Social Security will not call you directly unless it's in response to a phone call or a conversation that you have initiated and someone from one of those organizations is calling you back.
So is there any way that Silver Shield can help people who've lost their money or are close to losing their money?
The only advice I can give to that is if you are in a position where you have been targeted and money has been lost, to file a police report. That can be done at the police station in person. It can also be done online. Filing a police report makes a record that that transaction fraudulently has taken place, but it also may be a key piece of a puzzle from someone else that has been scammed or defrauded of money as well. So you sharing that information of the phone number that called you, the phone number that sent the text to you, the email address, because they're usually not just targeting one individual, they're targeting the entire community. So by admitting that it has happened, which is sometimes hard to do, filing that police report, even if it is a small amount of money, can sometimes lead to a bigger piece of the puzzle that can protect other people and might be the link that gets some of your money back.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us in these final thoughts?
Well, one of the other programs that AARP has is its REST program, Resilience, Strength, and Training. It is a virtual support group, so you do need to be computer savvy to utilize that. But if you have been a victim of a fraud or a scam, by going to our Fraud Watch Network website, utilizing our Fraud Watch Network helpline phone number, or going to the aarp.org website and searching fraud or fraud support would get you in touch with the REST program, where you can share that information and hopefully feel more comfortable after the fact, because it is a very uncomfortable situation.
It is, yes. Trudy, thank you so much for sharing all this wonderful, useful information with us today. And thank you for watching this edition of Mature Living. I'm Ann Hall, and we'll see you next time.